Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that do not know me, my name is April Kadwa and I help people level up practically and spiritually using tools such as personal development, empowerment, self-mastery, and law of attraction on my practical channel, Self-Mastery Mentor, and tools such as tarot, law of attraction, and personal development on my spiritual channel, Lux Goddess. So in today's video, we are talking about money, law of attraction, the wealth workbook, my sponsors, RTT therapy, a lot of different things. You guys, this video is going to unpack a lot. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, I am just gonna sit here and talk. I have my coffee this time. All right, this video is going to be very personal to me and some lessons that I've been having to deal with for the last year, I want to say, of just situations. And then all of that is actually going to tie into law of attraction. It's going to tie into this wealth workbook, which is a workbook you guys can use to help manifest more money. And let me tell you, it does work. Literally, since I made this workbook, okay? I have gotten in so many new clients since I made this, and since I did this, I've already had 2 new clients book. So, okay, try it out. Try it out, all right? Manifesting money is easy. It's just a shift in energy. But before we get there, all right, we're gonna start with a little bit of some inside stories about what's been going on. So, for those of you that do not know, my traditional source of money used to be from a commercial brokerage firm. I was an executive assistant. I pretty much helped out with the deals and literally did a lot, okay? I made the documents, helped look over the documents, go to the showings, prospect the clients, blah, 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 right? All that. So, I was there in that position for 8 years with that company. It was my first job out of college, and I knew I wanted to do it when I was in college because I enjoyed the fact that I got to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds, people from different cultures, people who, had so much to teach you and so much you could learn from. I really enjoyed the industry for what it was and for the opportunities that it presented. However, part of what happened in my experience was that last year around Labor Day, right before Labor Day, I went to go resign. And when I resigned, I actually still did. The client we had been working with for the longest time and that I had been working there, the entire 8 years, one of our most loyal, one of our most dedicated clients had a deal that came in, and it was a deal that we were actually listing for a couple years and working on the sale of that. And when that deal came in, my previous employer was like, hey, you need to stay. You need to, reconsider and think about it. This is someone we've been working with for a long time, blah, 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 blah. So I decided, okay, maybe that's a sign for me to stay. There's something else here for me. There's some bigger reason, some bigger purpose, blah, blah, blah. And it was one of our bigger deals, all right, price point wise, one of our bigger. Not our biggest, but one of our bigger. And I figured, okay, I've known this guy for 8 years and he's always seemed like a great guy. He seemed very loyal. He seemed very, trustworthy and all these different things and blah, 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 blah. So, okay, we go try to do the deal and it doesn't happen. All right, the guy doesn't want the price, and the price is damn good. Let me tell you that. Every single person in town, lawyer, colleague, everyone agreed how great of a price it was, okay? Whatever, story goes on, okay? Then the guy wants a higher price. So a couple months later or a month later, whatever it was right after my my event that I hosted, my first event, and that was what? That was spring into summer, okay? That was the event I threw on April 30th. We submitted the offer, I want to say May 2nd, so a couple days later, again, even higher, I want to say like $1 million higher than our last offer, and again, rejected. The guy actually countered us $4 million higher, and it was just, honestly, it was a stab to the back. It was a stab in the chest and a stab in the back, like just a constant blow to our job, what we were doing, our work, all of that. And this, it just, honestly, for me, it was ridiculous. It was absurd, and I wasn't going to deal with it. Absolutely not. I mean, the client got mad at me because of what I said, but what I said is the truth. So that's not really my problem at the end of the day. And it was almost this big lesson of feeling okay with speaking up. Oftentimes in that industry, the men don't respect you, the men don't value you because you're a woman, because you're a girl, because you're young, whatever. All right, that's just how it goes. There were a lot of times in this job where I dealt with a lot of really demeaning men who would throw napkins at my face and say, "Sweetie, are you understanding me?" And just like all this absolute crap. Like, it just, yeah. Not okay. Anyway, the client was pissed. I spoke up about it, blah, 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 whatever. And at that point, it was learning when to walk away. Learning when to walk away and not deal with someone who isn't appreciating you, who isn't appreciating your work, who isn't appreciating your time investment. We invested 3 years into that deal, 8 years into that person. It was about this higher lesson of not taking the bullshit. That's just what it comes down to. And honestly, it was just a really tough experience, I would say. Very, very tough in many ways, but it is what it is, right? You move on. It is what it is. So after that, then my boss, who I was working with at the time of 8 years, was struggling a little bit financially because of the deal. And on my 8-year anniversary, he let me go from my job. He said he actually got in an accident, broke his arm, broke his Rolex, all that, totaled the car. And I was taking him back and forth to the doctors, taking him to the hospital, running him around doing errands and helping him out. And then as we're driving from the doctors to the hospital, he goes, "You need to find a new job by next month. I'm not paying you anymore. Sorry, I can't." And that was it. And that was my 8-year anniversary. My dog died. My dog died. That happened. And it was literally a shit show. Okay? It was one of the worst feelings I've had in my life. Because remember, I still got to drive him around, right? I'm still driving this guy around when I'm not getting paid anymore, right? So that's just kind of bullshit. So there's that. And again, it was learning to walk away. Now, on my absolute last day of working with the individual, I had a panic attack. He was being so mean, so angry, just pissed off, mad at the world, just pissed off, mad, okay? Because the deals weren't happening and because of what happened and all this crap, right? I literally was shaking, holding my computer like this. Like, I literally got in my car and left and went to my attorney's house because I couldn't deal with it at all. Like, I was legitimately bawling my fucking eyes out. I couldn't believe somebody was just that fucking mad, right? And had to like throw it at me like I was his problem. No, sir, I'm not your problem. You already let me go before this, so find your problem, okay? It was that kind of a thing. And it was, honestly, it was just a lot of stuff went on. This is when I also had the ayahuasca retreat, so thank God for that. I went to the ayahuasca retreat with the intention set of how can I bust through this glass ceiling in my career. And part of that when I had the experience was that I've already busted through it, and I had all these new opportunities coming around me were things that I was never expecting, okay? Different companies, different people, different partnerships, different sponsors, all of that was happening. And I don't know, it was hard to really explain. All these different things came in for me. And I ended up expanding my business. I ended up expanding my clients. I ended up expanding things that I do that bring me joy and love and growth and expansion, even if it's not like work related or career related, and just help me really step out of my comfort zone. In a sense, I was kind of pushed out of my comfort zone, but it was time for that. It was definitely time. And there was a period there where, you know, you jump into entrepreneurship and money's not coming in. And so it was like kind of a little scary for me because, you know, I didn't have that net of like X amount of money coming to my account. It was just solely reliant on me, my sales, what I do, what I bring in, and what I manifest. So there was this weird transition period there where I was like traveling a lot, you know, having to meet these different people and investing. I invested literally all of my money. I invested all of my money into a lot of different things, a lot of different people, a lot of different companies, and was just like, you know what? I know that investment's gonna come back. I know it's gonna it's gonna come back, because when you put it out, it always comes back. And when you invest in others, it always comes back. So I knew that to be true, and I went with it, right? And I was creating all this different stuff, expanding in so many different ways. And then there was a period where it was like everything just stopped when it came to my like money, my income. It was like every single pipe that I built, right, just was clogged. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? I have set myself up for success in so many ways. Like, it doesn't make sense that all of them would just stop for a minute. It makes no sense. What is the bigger picture here? So at the same time of all of this, me being let go from my job was on June 1st. And then on June 5th, or a few days later, whatever, one of my clients called me about this guy that he wanted me to meet. So I went to meet this guy. I actually had already been introduced to him in December, but he was sick with COVID and it was like Christmas time or whatever. And so this was the time we actually met. He was coming in for a conference. And we ended up going to dinner and had a great time, but you know, he lives a little away. So this was around the time when then I went to my ayahuasca experience. All that happened, all the shifts happened, all the career change happened, all of that, the shift took place in my life. And when I was going down to Miami a few times, I would stop and see him. Well, after about a month of seeing him, I was hanging out with him. This is the last time we hung out. And there was one point we were cooking in the kitchen and he goes, yeah, you're a dating coach. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, yeah, on your YouTube, you're a dating coach. And I was like, no, I'm not. Not at all, no. And then it just showed me that he wasn't even aware of my work. He wasn't paying attention to my work. He wasn't valuing my work, just like the previous boss and just like the previous client. So it was like this higher lesson of my work not being valued and my work not being seen. And then like later that night, we were coming back from the beach and we drive by this place and he's like, oh my God, have you ever heard of tarot cards? And I was like I just jaw to the floor, like, what? I'm not even kidding you. It was, yeah, quite something. But either way, nothing to him. He's a fantastic person, and I actually probably liked him more than most. So that goes to say something. But either way, the lesson isn't about him. It's not about the boss. It's not about the client. It's about the higher lesson of my work not being valued. When I was a kid, I had this situation happen with my dad, and he was married to this woman. He, cheated on my mom with the babysitter, this woman, and she ended up waiting until the prenup expired. And then when the prenup expired, she took everything, right? That's just how it went. So I got to see from a very young age what gold digger looks like. I got to see from a very young age what taking advantage of others looks like. I got to be taken advantage of personally, that was a big part of my childhood. And it was really hard to watch my dad go through such a struggle because of that. And my dad was always, my dad, I was a daddy's girl, that's how it was, but he was never really around. He never really cared. He was just so work obsessed and focused on his work and his money and women. That's it. Kids don't matter. And he never helped out with anything financially, barely ever. One time in college,
I needed $200 for rent for my apartment, and I was working 5 jobs at the time, and he literally told me to go sell my motorcycle so I could pay my rent. And I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? I'm doing 18 credits, I have 5 jobs, and I need $200 right now because I just paid for all my books and everything like that, and I need your help. Yeah, that was ridiculous, okay? But it's a part of it. So that just shows you like what I kind of dealt with as a kid, like what I had to put up with, not being helped, not being assisted, like that, like bullshit. Whatever though, people have tougher stories. But the point is, when I was looking at all these lessons, right? My dad, the guy, the client, the boss, all of these were about higher lessons of work not being valued. My parents didn't even look at my workbooks, my channels, anything that I do and create. It's almost like they would just blow it off and brush it off like it's irrelevant. Until recently now, my mom does. But again, this higher lesson. And the higher lesson is truly just that, like, you don't need to rely on anyone else's approval for you to be successful. You don't need to rely on anyone else validating your work for you to be successful, for money to come in. You don't have to worry about any of that. As long as you support yourself, as long as you are there for yourself and you believe in yourself, success is going to come. And it always does. It always, always, always does, you guys. So when I was experiencing this money block, I have a new friend. Her name is Phoebe Perez, and she does RTT therapy. So what RTT therapy is a combination of different healing practices: psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, cognitive behaviors therapy, as well as neuro-linguistic programming. So it is a very, very deep healing practice. Phoebe actually did this on herself. She was in her training and then she got really hurt. And then she actually used this therapy on herself to heal herself to be better. So I had her do it for me when I was going through this period of like bigger lessons, right? Big lessons around money, big lessons around worth, around the worth of money, being worthy of receiving money, having my work valued enough to receive money, and then also receiving the recognition and respect for the work that's actually done, the value in the work that's done. All of those were the higher, bigger lessons that helped me create this workbook for you guys. You know, when I make these workbooks, okay, I'm just gonna give you guys a little tidbit real quick before we jump into RTT therapy. In order for me to make these workbooks for you guys and give you tools that can actually help you apply lessons, help you manifest more money, manifest more abundance, in order for me to be able to do these things and make these, you know, not only do I need to come to the point of having the ideas, the creation, taking the time to do it, all of that, but like the lessons that I have to go through as a mentor in order to learn the wisdom, in order to understand how I can help you and how I can better you, I have to go through these lessons myself. Like, I have to experience the hard hits. I have to experience what it feels like to just be like shut out, and what it feels like to create from within and overcome that. I have to go through all of these on such a deep level in order to be able to give you guys value in the things that I give you and the workbooks I give you. So, you know, don't think that this law of attraction journey and everything on here is just like cake and rainbows because it's a video, it's cute, it's fun, it's sweet, blah, blah, blah. But like, no, like this shit is work. It's real work. I mean, in order to be able to manifest and create more abundantly, you have to be able to do these different healing practices. It all starts from within. You know, everything we create is from within. So you got to be able to find that root, whatever it is, you know, and pull that out and make sure you get it healed. So that's really what, you know, all this brought me to, was this deep place of healing. And my friend Phoebe really helped a lot with that. Again, she does the RTT therapy, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and then neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. So when we did that, we got to the absolute root cause of what was going on with me. And what I was experiencing was a lot of blocks in regards to my childhood. There was a lot of anger and resentment that came up for all of these people, for my dad, for my mom, for my client, for the boss, for a bunch of different people. There's this anger that came up of just like not feeling valued, not feeling seen, not feeling respected, not feeling heard. It was a lot of that. And I didn't experience it or understand it in the moment of healing, like when it was going on. I actually kind of almost like fell asleep and dozed off. But the next day, all of this anger came out and like out, okay? Out. And I probably haven't been that mad or had anger expressed that much in probably 5 years, okay? Maybe more. It was like I was bottling up all this anger from people who just did me wrong and weren't valuing me, weren't appreciating me, weren't seeing me. And this bottleneck of like feeling undervalued was keeping my vibration lower. It was keeping me from being able to receive the money that I wanted, the respect that I wanted. It was keeping me from, growing and expanding because it was this dark little cloud that was hanging over top of me. I mean, consistently. And I had to work through that. So, I did, obviously. And it all came out. And actually, when it did come out, it came out on my mother. And my mother is not someone I have too many disagreements or arguments with. Like, she's honestly the sweetest woman in the world. She is literally the best. But there was a situation that happened again tied to money at a time where I felt like I had put a lot out, and I did a very significant amount out for, a few different things. And when it came to giving me back what I should have been given in that situation, it was undercut by way more than it should have ever been undercut. And it was just like not even thought about twice. And I was just so mad over that because it was involving someone who was very close to me and special to me, special to both of us. And yeah, it all came out. So that boiled to the surface, the client, the boss, all of that, dad, all that boiled to the surface about this anger I was holding on to when it comes to money. So I'm going to show you guys the vibrational scale of consciousness in this workbook because this was here in my subconscious. I wasn't actively angry. Like, I wasn't just like walking around pissed off. I was just like going about my day, doing stuff, working hard, working on the next thing, boom, 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 working till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. But all this anger was there underneath. It was there whether I wanted to face it or not. And when I decided I was ready to face it and I did the RTT therapy with Phoebe, it brought it all up. And then I was ready to actually deal with it. And I did. And, it's just crazy how much we can actually hold on to deep within. And if we don't do that, we don't release that, it's always going to keep us limited. So when I actually finally released that anger and I released that, shame for being angry and blaming myself for being angry and all that, things actually started moving for me. And that's when all of my new clients came in. I got a new client with my mentoring, another new client with a few new clients with my mentoring, a website design client, law of attraction client, astrocartography client, intuitive energy reading client. I had a few new business partnerships, actually quite a few, 3 new real estate clients. I mean, all of this has been since, this book has been created. But the getting to the point of the book is all of this other crap that I had to deal with for the last few months. So it was all this stuff, I'm telling you, all this stuff. But then as soon as the lesson was learned, as soon as that energy was cleared, as soon as that anger was cleared, as soon as all of that frustration was out, what happened? Things started to go again. So I'm going to show you guys on this page. So this is the book, okay? It's the Wealth Workbook, all right, right here. Here's the second page. Here's the second page here. And then I actually did this book, so I'm not going to show you guys the details because it is my book. But I'm going to show you this page right here, okay? We'll do this. All right. I want you guys to look at this, all right? See where anger is on the vibrational scale of consciousness? Do you see that? Anger is 150 of 1,000, right there. So that's what I was holding on to subconsciously, in a state of getting by, in a state of lack, in a state of anger, in a state of scarcity or fear. I was feeling that deep down and not wanting to look at it, not wanting to face that shadow, not wanting to face the anger that people weren't valuing me and valuing what I bring to the table. So the necessary lesson here was all about coming to that absolute root core of knowing what vibration I was holding on to, whether it was conscious or subconscious. So really what I was holding on to was a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of grief, a lot of shame and guilt, just not feeling good in a lot of ways when it came to the situations that I had dealt with. You know, not even being acknowledged on an 8-year anniversary for a company is pretty shitty, especially when you've dealt with a lot of crap for that person and put up with a lot of crap for that person. So it just, you know, those kinds of things were making me so mad, like just so mad. And it didn't matter how much I created. It didn't matter how much I did with my channels and this and that. I wasn't able to get there. I wasn't able to access the flow of money that I was wanting because I was so angry, all right, over all these wrongdoings. And once I released that and I forgave it and I said, you know, I'm just going to move into a state of acceptance. It is what it is. Like, so much more money is coming to me in ways that are totally different, and from systems I've put into place, of companies I've invested into, people I've invested into, you know, deals I've invested into, investments I've invested into. Everything I have invested into is actually paying me forward. And I finally just got to that point. And then what happened? Literally, like I said, the next day, boom, a client for my Law of Attraction, a few clients, a website design, a astrocartography report, a few intuitive energy readings, 3 real estate clients. It's like back to back to back to back to back. What's coming is success. What's coming is new people, new clients, new things, new money, new sources of money. This whole situation and this whole workbook actually really helped me step outside of my comfort zone of what it is that I was manifesting. What I thought I wanted to make per month is nowhere near what I'm actually wanting to make per month. And now that I'm seeing is actually capable of me making per month because of all the systems I put into place, because of the investments I made, because of the growth I've made, because of all of that. It's like where I was before is now scaled 3 times, much bigger than I ever thought. But that's because I, dedicated the time, the energy, the effort. Okay, don't get me wrong, you guys. I was hustling and grinding for the last 3 months, working every single day, okay? And now part of that lesson also for me was shifting into a state of receiving, because I was in this fight or flight kind of mode with a lot of different things, people, places, situations. I had to quickly and easily adapt and be quick on my feet, learn a lot of different things, figure out who's who and what's what and blah blah blah, all that. So it was definitely a season, a grind season. But now, in order to get to a state of receiving and be into a state of receiving, you have to shift to a state of receiving. So you can't be grinding all the time. You can't be working all the time, all night, all day. You gotta move into a place of relaxation, a place of joy, bliss, abundance, receiving energy. And receiving energy is feminine energy. When we're in our masculine energy, we're just doing, creating, surviving, providing, all of that. But you got to learn to shift. And both people, male and female, need to learn to make that shift, all right? When I talk about masculine and feminine energy, that is the split that each of us have. Each of us have masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is the doing. That's the providing. That's the protecting. The feminine energy is the receiving. It's the fun. It's the play. It's the all of that, right? It's the softer, more delicate energy. And we need to be able to balance that with ourselves, because if we don't have the balance of masculine and feminine in our own energy, then we're not going to be able to either bring in or create, and create more to bring in. You see what I'm saying? So part of this major lesson for me was to learn my self-worth when it came to who I dealt with, who was respecting me, who was seeing me, who was valuing me, and who wasn't. And when I let go of certain situations that were draining my cup became much fuller, much quicker, from places, sources, people that I never expected, that I never thought would even come into my life, that did. And new clients, new projects, new workbooks, new resources. And it really ultimately changed my viewpoint and my perspective on what I'm actually capable of bringing in. Like I said, what I originally wanted to make before is, only 30% of what I'm actually seeing is capable and possible for all the systems. So really, I just scaled my yearly income, monthly income, and my trajectory of what I'm expecting to make, 3 times. And it didn't come by nothing, it came by a lot of work. It came by a lot of grit. It came by a lot of learning when to turn the cheek and stop giving a shit about people, period. Right? It didn't matter if it was an old boss. It didn't matter if it's a client. It doesn't matter if it's a friend. It doesn't matter if it's a guy. It doesn't matter if it's whatever. It doesn't matter. If someone's not seeing you, not valuing your work, whether it's a corporation, someone you've been with a long time, a small company, your friend's company, your sister's company, it doesn't really matter. If you're not being respected, you're not being valued, you're not being seen, you're not being paid correctly, you're not doing any of that, let it go. Let it go, because it's draining you, it's taking from you. And when you can learn to manifest money, manifest wealth, and step into a state of flow and receiving with your manifestations, like if you guys can literally master this and master your wealth consciousness, you don't need any of that draining energy, draining situations, or draining people. You don't. Money is going to flow to you from multiple sources. Money is your birthright, and it's only hard to make if you think it's hard to make. It's infinite, right? There's so much money that exists in so many different forms, from so many different resources, from different people, different, creative ways. And that was actually a big one for me. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. When it came to not having my work valued, a lot of it was my creative work. There was one time where I went into the office and I was saying something about like my worksheets or my creative work, which is the YouTube channels. And this said person was like, I don't want to hear that fucking shit. And I was like, okay, okay, whatever. And we went to lunch, and then as we're at lunch with a bunch of his buddies who are all in the same industry, one of them goes, he's talking about my channels and my websites, and he goes, oh my God, he's like, my wife is so into that. Oh my God, my wife is so into that, blah, 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 blah. And so we start talking, and he's like, yeah, I told you guys, she wasn't a dumb blonde. She's so smart. She's so smart. And I'm like, you literally just told me you didn't want to hear about that fucking shit in regards to my work. So, yeah. Okay? Literally, like, if you guys have some sort of creative project, creative endeavor, big goal that doesn't align with a lot of people around you, this is your cue to just go for it and do it regardless of what anyone says. Because if you're feeling like it's your purpose, if you're feeling like you're called to do it, the universe will make things happen for you. It will help you through those shifts. It will put people, places, jobs, money, career, sales, clients, whatever in front of you and allow you to make that shift. Okay, you guys, make the shift, make the shift, make the shift if you're feeling called to. Trust me, it is worth it, you guys. I'm not kidding you. Like, just the entire lesson of what I've had to learn in regards to wealth consciousness, money, law of attraction, healing the deep core root of what we, are attracting, whether we like it or not, or, what things we're repelling, whether we like it or not, depending on our energy. So, just these lessons alone have monumentally changed, I would say, my life and the course and direction of my life. There were many different things involved here, There were the situations that happened, the unfortunate events. It was also my ability to deal with those events. It was the RTT therapy, for sure, done by my friend Phoebe Perez. It was my wealth workbook, my full moon release ceremonies that I host mostly every full moon. It was the yoga. It was changing my energy. It was diminishing fear. It was diminishing insecurity. It was diminishing doubt. It was believing in myself, knowing that success is always coming. And when you're in the right vibration, it comes even more and it comes quicker. It was a lot of things, it was a lot. This video's a lot, okay, you guys, this video's a lot. But I don't care, okay? I don't care. You gotta hear the stories authentically at some point if you're really gonna trust and know how these things are made. It's one thing to just hear someone say, manifest, 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 and just write it down and put it out there. And of course, I do write it down. I write down what I'm grateful for. I say what I'm grateful for. I try to always be in a positive, good energy. But seriously, the lessons along the way are a part of this journey. If you guys are on the law of attraction journey or you're on a spiritual journey at all, unlearning certain patterns of yours, unlearning certain behaviors, putting your foot down when you need to, stepping into your worth when you need to, learning your worth when you need to, all of that are lessons that we have to go through. And these people that we deal with, interactions, are merely all just lessons one way or another. And you have to be able to cut something or someone off when you know that it's not adding value to you. It's not about the fact that that person won't come back around when it's the right time or the right situation, or, circumstances changed, maybe, people apologize, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It will come back around when it's meant to. Don't attach so hard to the outcome. Don't attach so hard to, needing to get X, Y, and Z, or wanting that money, or wanting that revenge, or whatever. Just let it go, let it go, let it go. Everything we deal with, whether it's love, whether it's work, whether it's a client, whether it's money, whether it's family, whether it's friends, it doesn't matter. It's all just lessons that are along our journey, and each one is bringing you closer to what it is that you want and what it is that you're manifesting. So when these situations happen, zoom out, really zoom out and see the bigger picture in a much broader way. What is this lesson actually here for? What am I actually learning that I'm not seeing? Or, if, for example, let's say you're with somebody and all of a sudden there's a breakup. It's one thing to get caught up and get stuck on it. And when we do that, that will also affect our money. That will affect everything, right? Because our energy's in that, sadness or that loss or that grief. But if we can be conscious of it and kind of see things from a higher perspective, it's like everything's happening along our journey as just little steps and little pebbles. So try not to be so upset. Like, for example, if you lose a job, or for example, you and your friend stop being friends and whatever, right? Or you lost a big client. It's all part of a bigger journey, and it might stink in the moment. It might hurt in the moment. It might be like, okay, what the heck was that? And you might get a little angry or have some of that in your energy, but do your best to find that deep, deep, deep seated trigger point and that deep lesson that the universe is trying to give to you. Because that bigger lesson, once it's learned, is going to bring you in so much more and help you ascend on your journey, right? It's like you're going up to the next level. And sometimes when we go up to the next level, there's growing pains, right? That's just a part of it. So, get ready, you guys. Get ready to manifest wealth. If you guys are ever going through a tough time like that, or going through a transition or a job loss, or you're starting out as an entrepreneur on your own for the first time and you're having to trust yourself, you're going to have to trust your creation. don't be afraid. Fear is just a lower vibration on the vibrational scale of consciousness. It's just going to keep you down in a state of getting by. Raise your wealth consciousness, raise your financial consciousness, and love money, appreciate money, respect money. Find ways that you can give back and donate, who you can hire, who you can provide to, who you can support, how you can fund other people, other things. When you are of service to others, money comes to you. Money likes you when you give to other people. Like, that's how it goes. If you shortchange someone, if you, don't do something right, let me tell you, that will come back around with that kind of money karma. So just always give back. Always pay it forward. Invest in other people. Invest in other situations, other company, other friends. Invest in your family members. Invest in whatever, right? Invest. It will come back. When you're providing value, value is going to come back to you. So just know that lesson is something I can definitely always attest to. I've always been a really big giver in whatever way that I can. And I actually struggle a lot with receiving. That's really where my issue is. I mean, I've always worked since I was a kid. Like I said, 5 jobs when I was in college and 18 credits and on the wakeboarding team. It just, work is a part of what I do. But that's masculine energy so hardcore that I almost get in my own way a lot of times. And then that energy also kind of rubs off into my connection. So it's in order for me to receive, in order for me to feel okay with receiving, I have to step out of kind of who I am in this really heavy masculine shield that I've had to have because of the job I was in, because guys don't respect you. It was hard for me to shift into receiving. It was hard for me to allow guys to even pay for me on dates for a while. That was something I struggled with for a few years, a lot of years, more than a few. And eventually, finally, I got to the point of being okay with guys buying dinners and being okay with that. But just even switching from the feminine or the masculine energy of doing and creating and being and working to the feminine energy of receiving and allowing yourself to receive gifts, allowing yourself to receive a dinner or a date or a coffee or a gift or whatever, right? Moving into a state of receiving is important when it comes to your money, when it comes to your growth, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your expansion. You don't want to just be working all the time. If you're working all the time, how can you receive? You have to receive. And sometimes doing less is more. Oftentimes, doing less is more. We don't always have to work ourselves to death. We don't always have to overwork and try to get the next deal right away. And you gotta get this many deals, and we gotta close this many by the end of the year, and you gotta do this, and No. How about, I want to have this wealth, I want to have this success, and I know it's going to come to me in whatever form it's meant to come to me. I'm going to manifest X amount of clients, I'm going to manifest X amount of money, and I know that it's on the way for me. I don't need to try so hard. I don't need to work so hard. I don't need to just pound the phones or do whatever. I can just be in a state of receiving. I can step off the gas. I can go have fun with my friends, be in a state of joy, be in a state of peace, knowing that everything's coming. And then what happens? Money comes. Then you're in flow. What happens when you're in a state of flow? Money comes, right? Love comes, joy comes, abundance comes, bliss comes. All these things come, right? When we are in a state of flow. So if you're noticing anything with your guys' money, or you're wanting to expand your money in a bigger way, look at your vibration overall. Look at certain deep areas of healing that you may need to look into, whether that is something from your childhood, something from your past, something from a friend, something from an old job, something from a client, whatever. Look back at it. Look back at whatever you are holding on to, whether that's anger, grief, guilt, shame, any of that. Let it go. All right? Let it go and release it. I'm telling you, once you do, money comes in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you very soon. Before we go, my sponsors, I have here Shilajit. Shilajit is a natural resin that helps you with memory, energy, focus, stamina. It is something that I use. It is a natural resin that you can put in your coffee, you can put it in your water, And all you need is just a little bit. Like, I used to drink 3 cups of coffee today. Everyone makes fun of me now because I drink decaf. It's decaf, but at least I just love the taste of coffee. But I put my shilajit in this, and this gives me my energy without having to have so much caffeine. When I did the ayahuasca fast, we had to like cut everything out of our diet. I mean, literally everything. And so I realized how much coffee I was actually drinking and that I wanted to pull back. So now I just drink decaf because I love the taste, and my shilajit is what gives me the energy. And my other sponsor that I have is Sunsama. Sunsama is an app that I use to help track all the things I do for work, all of my different businesses, all of my different appointments. And it really helps me stay organized so that way I can stay on task every single day throughout the week and make sure I'm never missing an appointment. So with that being said, you guys, if you want any more spiritual guidance, you can go to my other channel, Lux Goddess, where I use tarot as a guide to help you understand your energy deeper so you can shift your energy and put you in alignment with your manifestation. So if you guys are manifesting more work, more money, all that, maybe consider getting a tarot reading. Maybe consider getting an astrocartography report. Those are where I look at 4 different areas in the world, or 8, depending on which size package you want. And I find areas where, more growth is going to happen, more expansion in your work, in your career, in your money. I will find areas around the world that are actually going to enhance those areas of your life, all right, if that's what you're looking for. So feel free to go over there. Feel free to message me if you want one of those. And then if you want an intuitive energy reading, we'll look at what's kind of going on in your energy, what you may be holding on to, and I'll help you shift that to put you in alignment with what you're manifesting. So with that being said, you guys, sorry for the long video, but that is it, and I will talk to you guys very soon.